Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. The World Cup has obviously finished, about a week ago now. Just had a little break, after that hectic World Cup period. What a World Cup it was. I may have another World Cup video coming out in the next few days, maybe just sort of summing it up, or maybe just a full table of the World Cup teams, who finished where. And I'll have a few podcasts coming out on the World Cup and maybe one on the upcoming season. But yeah, now my focus has turned back to Arsenal, it's turned back to the Premier League, and I can't wait for the upcoming season. Obviously, Unai Emery in charge, we've got pre-season coming up, it's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm just going to be going back to Arsenal, I'm going to be going back to another transfer update today. Hasn't had anything major in the last, week or so, but there have been a lot of sort of building up stories, new contracts, a lot of players about to leave, potentially a signing of a winger, potentially a signing of another goalkeeper. Nothing major, but I'm just going to sort of bring you up to date, and I'm going to look at potential wingers we could sign, and I think I've got 4 options. So yeah, let's get into it. So obviously since that we've signed, since my last Arsenal transfer update, we have announced the signings of Lucas Torreira, Matteo Guendouzi, I think Socrates. I mean, that was basically known we were going to sign him for ages. But it's been a decent summer so far. I think we've addressed key issues in key areas where we were struggling. Obviously defensive midfield, Lucas Torreira looks like a really promising signing. Lichtsteiner, very good backup to Bellerin. Socrates, I don't know if he's quite what we needed, but it's a decent enough signing. I hope that he can slot in well. Maybe can bring out more of Mustafi. It doesn't look like we're going to sign another centre-back. Maybe that's an issue, a position which we could upgrade. We could get someone better on Mustafi, but it looks like it's edging towards we're keeping Mustafi. But a lot of players look like they're on their way out. And obviously there's an interesting one developing right at the moment with Jan Sommer. Sommer is supposedly in advanced talks for a move to Arsenal. I don't know how much I believe this one. I think he's a decent enough keeper. He's established in the Bundesliga. We'll be signing him from Mönchengladbach. I don't know about this one. Obviously, we've got Petr Cech, we've got Ospina, we've just signed Bernd Leno. A lot of people, for me, are not really understanding or appreciating how good a signing Leno is. I think he has got the potential to be as good as a Courtois, to be as good as a, maybe not David De Gea, but a Lloris. He's got the potential to be as good as them, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans are looking at like Karius and thinking, oh, they're a bit nervous. Yes, he has made a few mistakes in the past, but you've looked at every goalkeeper, they've made mistakes. I think his distribution's much better than Petr Cech. He's got very good reflexes. He's very commanding, but he has made a few mistakes. It's not necessarily been because of a lack of ability. It's mainly just been lack of concentration. I think that's always the biggest, that's the biggest thing they talk about when a goalkeeper moves from a smaller club to a bigger club. They're going to become much less busy. For example, playing for Arsenal. I know Leverkusen are quite a big club, but he's going to be less busy at Arsenal than he was at Leverkusen, and that will be a big challenge for him. Can he maintain high levels of concentration when he's not really doing much? And you may only have to make one save in a game, and it may be a very important save, but that's what separates the good goalkeepers and the best goalkeepers sometimes, in that they can maintain concentration even when they're not busy. And yeah, I think Bernd Leno is a very good signing. I don't think people really appreciate it. Yes, he has made a few poor mistakes, but I think as he matures, he'll get better. He's still a young goalkeeper, 26, very young. He can grow into a world-class goalkeeper, and I think he will. I really think he will. We've got a new goalkeeping coach. I think he's much better. But obviously, the summer things coming from, the futures of Cech and Ospina being in doubt. I think Ospina will leave. I think that's fair enough. He's coming sort of into his prime now as a goalkeeper, 29, 30, or 29 or 30 or 31. He's one of those ages. That's sort of the prime for a goalkeeper. He really wants to push on. He wants to start playing more because he's just been a backup for Arsenal essentially in the last few years. I know he's played in in European games, but he wants to be playing regularly, week in, week out in the league, and I think he will move to Turkey. That's looking likely. He's been linked with basically every Turkish club in the last few years. It looks like Besiktas are closing in on Ospina. Petr Cech, he's been linked with Chelsea. It's a bit of a strange signing. He's also been linked with Napoli. I don't see that happening. I don't know why we'd get rid of him. He's got 1 year left on his contract, I think. And I think we'll just see this contract out. You know, he's just still a very good goalkeeper. He's definitely made mistakes. He's definitely declined. His distribution's terrible. But he's still a decent goalkeeper. He can make good saves. We saw it last season. He was a bit inconsistent. He did make some brilliant saves on occasions. He had some good games. But he also was a bit error prone. I still think he's good enough to be our backup goalkeeper to Bernd Leno. And I would keep him. I don't think there's any reason for us to sell him and get Jan Sommer in. I'd keep him for a season. Maybe keep Martinez as a third choice. Let Martinez sort of learn from Leno and Cech, and maybe Martinez. I don't know. I think he's been at the club for ages. He may want more than the third choice position, but I think he can get promoted next season after Cech's contract runs out to second choice. He said Martinez, he won't leave until his first choice. I don't ever see that happening, but you never know. And now I'm going to look at, obviously, the wingers. Apparently, Emery really is urging the board to try and sign a pacey winger. He said they need them. I think if Lucas Perez, Joel Campbell and Danny Welbeck all leave, I think bringing in a winger is pretty essential. I think we need it at the moment. I've written an article about how we need a winger for Just Arsenal, and I really think we need one. You know, we need someone who can sort of unlock a defence with a bit of skill, a bit of trickery, and we don't really have that natural player who's going to beat a fullback and put a good cross in. Alex Iwobi's not really a winger. He's developing more into a central midfield player. We saw it near the end of last season. Obviously, Ozil's not a winger. He's a number 10. You've got Mkhitaryan. He's sort of he plays out wide, but comes inside. He's sort of a inverted winger. I don't know what you want to call it. Danny Welbeck, again, not really a natural winger. Not somebody who's going to get the ball, produce some magic piece of trickery and get past the fullback and then produce a cross. We need an actual out-and-out winger. And obviously the options, you've got Kingsley Coman, who's been heavily linked. It's a bit unrealistic at 44 million. I don't think we're willing to pay that much at the moment. I mean, even Lucas Torreira, people saying 26 million. We don't even pay. We paid 10 million euros this summer, and then it's 10 million euros for the next 2 summers, 30 million euros in total. We really don't seem to be willing to pay that much, so we actually haven't spent very much at all this summer. 16 million on Socrates, 19 million on Leno, and 10 million euros on Torreira. So yeah, you've got Coman. Don't really think it's particularly realistic. He's a very good tricky winger, you know, fit the bill perfectly, but yeah, I don't think it's particularly realistic. You've got Wilfried Zaha. Again, these players should be realistic to Arsenal. We've got the money, but Stan Kroenke isn't willing to pay it. Zaha, I think, would be absolutely perfect. I mean, you know, he's shown it in the Premier League, but 60 million is a bit of a push. But, you know, he's shown week in, week out for Crystal Palace what he can do. He's very tricky, very quick, very powerful, be perfect in sort of those tight games, particularly away from home when we struggle to break a team down. And obviously, third option, Malcolm, the one that's gone quiet. We were heavily linked with him in January. It's quietened down a bit, but, you know, Everton looked to be stealing ahead for him, but since that deal sort of emerged, they look now to be signing Richarlison. Could that hinder that move? Hopefully, and we could steal in for Malcolm. He's meant to be the next sort of Ousmane Dembele. I know Ousmane Dembele is very young, but, you know, meant to be in the same sort of ilk as that, same sort of quality of player potentially in the future. To me, he looks a bit like Willian from what I've seen from highlights. Obviously, got that Brazilian link. And the fourth option, not Christian Pavon. He's basically signing a new contract. Hirving Lozano, impressed in the World Cup. I'm not too sure. He looked decent, but again, I don't know. Maybe the most realistic signing on this list at PSV. Could get him for relatively cheap, probably £30 million ish. I don't know. I think I prefer Malcolm as the most realistic, but it's probably Lozano, but I probably prefer Malcolm. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. That's basically it for this video. If you did enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be bringing more of these Arsenal transfer updates in the future. And I'm just looking forward to the new season. So thanks for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
I can't change. Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, and I can't change. Even if I try, my love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm.